Entering Tata Steel as a summer intern was like stepping into uncharted territory. When I used to drive into the plant, people used to get off their cycles to stare, pointing me out to one another. I realized then that I was the odd man out. When I started my job as a programmer, I sat in the programmer's hall, and most people who came in thought I was a receptionist. So I had to ask my seniors to give me reams of computer printouts, and whenever I saw a visitor come, I pretended to work. I learned that people saw me as an outsider. So I decided that if I'm working with changing mindsets, I better work doubly hard in the first few months of my career so that I'll be perceived at least as equal. Of course, there were many opportunities that came my way. I remember I was the only person in the department who had the license to drive the company pickup because I had an LMV license. And I volunteered to take data tapes for conversion and used to drive to Tata Motors back and forth. And that gave me a lot of acceptance. My bosses were surprised and happy at what they called my initiative. Another opportunity came when Mr. J.R.D. Tata came to Jamshedpur. As you know, he was a beacon of a pilot, and this time he had called the meeting with all the aviators. I was the only woman pilot, and Mr. Tata asked me to sit next to him in the boardroom. I was just terrified, sitting at the edge of my seat. But he asked me to answer all the technical questions on the way forward for our flying club, and I was able to answer, much to my relief and the relief of all the other aviators who were watching on nervously. That taught me that if you know your work, if you know your stuff, your confidence grows automatically. In terms of mentors, I did have bosses who encouraged me. I had the opportunity of working with great stalwarts like Mr. Rusi Modi, Dr. Jamshed Irani, even Mr. Ratan Tata, and of course, Mr. J.R.D. Tata was an inspiration to all of us. We had no female mentors who we could go to in those days. The year was 1998. I had started my consultancy, and Dr. Irani never liked the idea of my leaving Tata Steel. So he called me back and said, "It's time you came back. I want 300 Rupa Mahantys in Tata Steel." I must say, I was cheeky enough, respectful of course, to ask him, "Sir, are you sure you'll be able to cope with that?" In his imitable gruff manner, he said, "Just get along with it." So I was mandated to conduct workshops with over 300 women officers. I would say officers who happen to be women, all professionals, engineers, MBAs, doctors, accountants, and we had sessions encouraging them to, empowering them to be equal but just a little different. We used to give feedback to the company on business and matters of diversity, and I'm happy to say it was very well responded to. You know, in those days, we didn't have a single toilet in each building for women. I'm happy to say, as a consequence of this program, we have toilets right across the plant in all the buildings in Tata Steel by the year 2001. And today, Tata Steel is a leader in diversity, a champion of inclusion. I'm proud to say that a large number of the girls who attended this workshop are today in leading positions in many different fields. You know, we've come a long, long way, but remember, you are still dealing with people with different mindsets. So a few things that have worked for me. I've had different bosses, bad ones, good ones, some not so bright ones. Learn to cope. because there are lessons to be learned with dealing with people, and those are lessons that teach you how to be a good boss as you grow. Disappointments will come your way, but remember, you may lose on the swings, but you will always gain on the roundabout. Never say die. Another important lesson for me was, do not try to be a superwoman. You cannot be everywhere all the time, so encourage your partners to participate and establish systems and processes that work well for you. Figure out your own formula. Another thing that helped me was, never be afraid to say, I don't know. As you grow up in an organization, a person who wants to learn something new is invariably more respected and considered far more human. You know, as you grow into senior positions, leadership positions, boardrooms, the challenges will just keep increasing. But just stay on the path and you will succeed. Be wise as you become senior. Choose your battles. Choose your words carefully. And you can't win all of them. Lastly, two things which I have felt have worked for me is I look at luck, L-U-C-K, as lots of unexpected challenges and opportunities. Finally, when you face jealousy, thank God for it, because I define jealousy as nothing but admiration in war paint. IIMC days were the halcyon days of our youth. We came to the campus all carefree because we had made it, the best of the best, selected from lakhs of people. We made it to IIM Calcutta. We had hopes. We proudly knew that we'd bear the stamp of IIM Calcutta. We had so many dreams, and we were euphoric when we first came, till we realized that all our classmates were equally bright or brighter. And I remember the faculty who were inspirational, led by our director, Professor Ramu Iyer. The standard of pedagogy at IIMC was the best and continues to be the best. On campus, we felt no gender divide. Of course, there were 6 of us girls in a batch of 100. We all had our share of admirers, but nothing that was either offensive or daunting. Actually, we were too busy being numerical nerds to practice being nubile nymphs. I was a girl on campus. I don't know about the girl on campus. But campus as we saw it was bare. None of this verdant foliage was around. There were just a few saplings surrounded by protective bricks in front of our hostel, which was later named Ramanujan. The Ramanujan hostel was just H1, H2, H3, H4. We were only 6 girls for a very unusual reason. The batch before us moved in from Barakpur to Joka, and there were 12 girls in the batch. The ladies' wing just had 18 rooms. So we, the second batch, had 6 rooms for girls. There were no quotas those days, and those were days where there were women, we were children of the 50s. Girls were not encouraged to study STEM. Now times have changed a lot, and I'm happy to say we have 35% women in our MBA groups nowadays. Memories of those days? We remember the delights with which we used to go. Our outing was to Mihirdas Dhaba across the gate. We used to go to Thakurpukur by bus for our normal Bengali mishti sweets or anything we wanted, and the delights of Park Street when we had money by minibus to explore Calcutta. Those were days before social media, before gadgets, and I think we had a wonderful, memorable time at IIMC. He taught me to always remain inquisitive, work hard, and know my strengths and weaknesses. It became a pattern of continuous improvement for life. One of my greatest weaknesses, I have to confess, was, when I was a youngster, both in professional and personal life, I wanted very much to be included and accepted. So I became a people pleaser and adapted to everything. And the more I tried, the more I was trampled upon. I learned the hard way that if you want to be respected, when times are not fair, you have to be able to push back. That was one of the great lessons I learned in IMC, and I'm grateful that IMC sowed in me all the seeds of self-confidence and the ability to become pleasantly assertive.